Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, June 25th. Record territory for the NASDAQ and nearing a record for the S&P 500. Yesterday, all three major indices closed in the green. The Dow jumped 507 points, or 1.19%. The S&P 500 neared record territory, adding 67 points, or 1.11%. The NASDAQ hit record territory, climbing 281 points, or 1.43%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're actually higher. We're up 0.13%. I mean, that's good. It's kind of it's an odd day in the markets, but right now we're seeing the SPUs and they are ticking higher. I mean, we do have Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. He's going to testify before the Senate today. I mean, okay, I don't expect him to say anything really different than what he did yesterday. So I think it's going to be, it's still, worth paying attention to because, things do change from day to day. President Trump, he's in Europe. He's attended that NATO summit. There's going to be a press conference this morning. He might say something that could cause some volatility. We'll have to wait and see. On the economic calendar today, you got new home sales coming out. That could be something. Oh, what's interesting is Nivida is scheduled to hold a shareholders event today. That could, cause some positive action in the stock. Micron, ticker MU, they're releasing earnings after the bell. PAYX, PAYX, they're going to be releasing this morning. I haven't seen the report come out yet, but it's due out this morning. Oh, and also, do you know there's a Fed meeting today? There is a Fed meeting today at 2 p.m. They're going to be discussing proposed revisions to the supplemental leverage ratio. This is key for big banks and their decision. But I don't think there's going to be a decision. They're just going to start talking about it. But this SLR is going to be a key event in the near future, and they're looking to make a decision on it before the probably sometime in July. But it's something to keep an eye on. Then we turn our attention over to Europe, and we're seeing a little mixed action, mixed to lower. Okay, I mean, you got to remember the European markets had a big opening yesterday, a big day yesterday, so they're giving a little bit of it back. Like the DAX is down 90 points or 0.38%. The FTSE on the other hand is actually higher by 0.02%. I mean, you're seeing some positive action in the mining stocks. Commodity linked assets are rising as the geopolitical sentiment improves. In Paris, the CAC is down 24 points or 0.32%. Consumer confidence index remained unchanged, stayed at 88 for June. Was slightly below the expectations, which the market was expecting 89. Okay, still rather low though. Then we're taking a look over at Asia, and Asia saw gains across the board. We got the Nikkei up 151 points, or 0.39%. Chip stocks, continue to outperform Hong Kong. The Hang Seng finished higher by 1.23%. That's 297 points. Tech stocks, financial stocks continue to advance. And in China was up over 1% to 35 points. There's that Chinese political meeting where Chinese officials unveiled new draft guidelines, which were focused on boosting domestic consumption, with a strong emphasis on increasing financial supply, a strong emphasis on increasing financial supply in the consumption sector. They need to do this. It makes sense. The market reacted positively to the news. So, that's all good. Now, then we're turning our attention to oil because oil, let's face it, oil's really volatile. It has dropped 13% in the past two sessions. It's still trading a little higher today. It's up about 0.6% this morning. But, the key event for today will be the API data. It will be the EIA data, the stockpiles data. Last night, you got the API data, the American Petroleum Institute, as they reported their estimates, and their estimates showed that crude inventories fell by 4.27 million barrels for last week, which was much bigger than the expectations. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see what the EIA data comes out when it comes out an hour after the market opens this morning, Emily.
And Bill, you did point to a number of pieces of data that are worth watching today. And even though the day isn't overly action packed, staying consistent with staying on top of data and information and consistency is key to a successful strategy. And that's why we do it day in and day out. We will start with earnings action before we get to some economic events. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
Got to start off with FedEx, Federal Express, ticker FDX, Frank David X-Ray. I mean, listen, they beat by 14 cents. They did it on higher revenue. Guidance was an issue. Stocks down 4.71% this morning. Got General Mills, ticker GIS, Grace India Sam. They beat by 3 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. You look at GIS this morning, it's down 2%. Paychex, PAYX, hasn't released yet. We're still waiting on that this morning. EPS there's $1.18. I expect to move is 6.2%. After the bell today, hey, you got Jefferies, ticker JEF, John Edward Frank. Their EPS is 43 cents. Expected move is 8.16%. And then you got Micron, ticker MU, Michael Uncle. Their EPS is $1.57. Expected move is 8.60% when they release today after the bell. That's going to be a big one. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings announcements, Emily.
And you'll be following those earnings announcements using your earnings alert on your NewsWare. You also have an alert set up for your economic events and anything that's going on with the Fed. And we certainly have important notes when it comes to that today. So, Bill, what's going on in terms of the day's economic events?
Well, at 10 a.m., you get the new home sales. That's going to be a key one. Then at 10:30, you get the EIA oil stockpiles report. Also at 10 a.m., you're going to start hearing from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as he testifies in front of the Senate. What I found interesting yesterday was New York Fed Bank President John Williams and Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari both spoke yesterday, and they both emphasized caution regarding changes to monetary policy. And what are they highlighting? President Trump's tariffs. They think that could lead to an uptick in inflation. Remember, you got inflation data coming out Friday. Inflation data is coming out Friday, and if that starts to show the uptick, this whole talk of you got to lower interest rates 2%, 2 points. It's over with. You can't do that. I mean, Trump will blame the higher interest rates on Powell not cutting interest rates sooner, but he can't because, these tariffs are inflationary. We all know that. And just because it hasn't shown up in the data yet doesn't mean it's not coming. It's gonna come. We just don't know when. And the only reason it hasn't showed up before is because of the stockpiling that had occurred in March and February, March, which we did see because this Liberation Day, as Trump called it, was very telegraphed. You knew it was coming. You had expectations, and he went far beyond the expected 10% tariffs. So this Friday CPI report is really going to be keyed on. But today, Jerome Powell speaking in front of the Senate Banking Committee. We'll have to wait and see if his tone changes at all today, Emily.
And Bill, you'll be following those comments using your NewsWare. As you told us, you do set a specific alert for that because they release the commentary ahead of the actual speech, and you're able to gather that information. You're also able to combine that with yesterday's information. And as you said, you're looking ahead to data coming out later in the week, putting all of those pieces together to trade the day. And speaking of putting pieces together, you're also looking at other pieces of information, data and news, watching merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check today, Emily. And, what do I see? Except for the Dow, I got 12 lower, 16 higher, and 2 unchanged. Okay, it's flat. I mean, it's not negative, it's not positive, it's kind of flat. Then we're looking at our FANG stocks, but on my FANG stocks are showing gains across the board. Tesla up 1%, Google up 0.67%. We are showing some nice gains there. So that's a good way to start the morning. But you're looking at some of the news behind the tape, and we got to start off with Amazon, ticker AMZN, which is up about 0.4%. Judge finds Anthropic's use of books to train AI legal in some cases. That's a positive factor. Then we're talking Meta. Microsoft's Xbox and Meta platform said they are releasing new gaming bundle for social media company Meta Quest headset. Ooh, that's nice. Meta Quest headset. So it's the only one out there for the retail. I mean, Apple has one, but it's just so expensive. There's no games on in these headsets that are about the games. So Xbox getting involved with Meta on their Quest headset really makes a lot of sense. It's a big uptick. Tesla, ticker TSLA, like I said, it's up 1% this morning. New car sales in Europe fell by 27.9% in May from a year earlier. Electric EV sales in the region jumped 27%, but their sales in the EU fell. I mean, wow, that's not good. But the stock is trading higher, and it's trading higher because it's the robo taxi, and it's all about the robo taxi right now with Tesla. Then we're looking at news on the Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're going to start with Microsoft because OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, he's out there performing the interviews. He's out there doing press, and he's really trying to express the positive relationship that he has with Microsoft and its executives. We'll see. Walmart, ticker WMT, it's testing something called dark stores, which resemble retail stores, but they're not open to the public. It's a way for them to speed up deliveries. It's interesting, because it's essentially a warehouse, but for deliveries. But they're calling them dark stores. Verizon, ticker VZ, Victor Zebra, they're doing a deal with Nokia to deploy a private 5G network in England along the River Thames. Interesting. Talking merger news. Remember Salesforce did that deal to buy out, Informatic deal? Well, they just signed a $6 billion credit agreement to finance the deal. So that's positive. In terms of guidance news, FedEx last night, they see Q1 EPS coming in $3.40 to $4. That's a wide spread. Street estimate is 403. So, got to call that a downtick. Winnebago, ticker WGO, they see full year 2025 adjusted EPS $1.20 to $1.70. Street estimates $1.74. That's a downtick. Gilead, ticker GILD, they lowered their full year 2025 EPS view to $7.68 to $8.07. Street estimate is $7.98. So it's still within that purview. So, but before it was $8.10. So they lowered it 3 cents on that side, which is a little concerning, but should still be okay. In terms of shareholders meetings today, Nivida, ticker NVDA, that's the big one. They're having a shareholders meeting, starts at noon. But also got to point out eBay, ticker EBAY. They're having a shareholders meeting today. That one starts at 11 a.m. That's what I have for you in terms of news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Jefferies, ticker JEF, John Edward Frank. This is an earnings play. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS, 43 cents. Expected move, 7.73%. Looking at yesterday's call volume. 1,621 calls traded versus 626 puts. That's positive. Open interest, 29K versus 9K. That's positive. Major brokers are neutral to positive on it. I mean, I'm seeing some positive commentary as of late. So, I'm okay with that. But the tricky thing is the entry price, because, you're looking at the bid offer right now, 53 to 55.34. So, I want to get in the $54 range. $54. I'll say $54.50 is my entry price. I might be a little high, but I'm gonna stick with $54.50 as an entry price for Jefferies today. If it hits that, it should easily make the 1%. So that's my pick of the day. Jefferies, ticker JEF, John Edward Frank at $54.50. Emily.
Returning to an earnings play today, Bill, we will follow Jefferies along with you. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day, so stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, what do we got here this morning? China to block rare earth experts from spilling their secrets. Some rare earth experts are being asked to turn in their passports. Gilead, they entered into a licensing agreement this morning with a therapeutic firm. Hey, but that lower guidance really kind of bothers me there. News story about Coinbase, COIN. Stock sees a golden cross. Yeah, when they start talking about these death crosses and golden crosses, I get nervous. I wouldn't be buying it. Health insurers are considering new expert sources to help determine which vaccines to pay for as anti-vaccine activism. And now U.S. Health Secretary Kennedy begin to revise government recommendations for inoculations. Nearly two-thirds of patients who started on weight loss drugs Wegovy and Zepbound last year are still taking them a year later. That's positive. Levi Strauss, they're releasing after the bell today. It's only supposed to move like $2, $1.70. MKC, McKesson, they're going to be releasing tomorrow morning. Looks positive, but I couldn't, but I don't know. I don't really love it. Serapina, SRPT, the FDA is investigating risks of acute liver failure with its liver drug. Pony AI, ticker PONY, it was added this week to the Nasdaq's Golden Dragon China Index. It's stock seen some nice move this morning. Amazon.com, the company has again been judged by UK grocery suppliers as the worst food retailer and by far in terms of compliance with industry code of practice. Target is exploring the delivery of products directly to customers' homes from the factory, similar to the Chinese e-commerce rivals Temu and Shine. Makes sense. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Alphabet, Google, ticker GOOG. Now, you did make this pick following that news that the UK's antitrust authority had to propose to designate Google as having a strategic market status in general search and search advertising. So this would sort of change how the company may operate in the UK. It was also following news of the ceasefire between Iran and Israel, sort of positive wins behind the market and the stock, as you pointed out yesterday. How did your call work out?
It's all about the entry price, Listen, the stock opened up at 167.68 and it fell down to 166.94. Now, I was saying 167.50. And after hitting 167.50, it ran. It got hot and it ran and it hit a high of 169.25. There's your 1%. Closed a little lower, but the 1% was there off of the entry price that I had mentioned yesterday. So yeah, and you look at the stock this morning, it's trading up again. So yeah, Google, ticker GOOG, was a winner yesterday, Emily.
A win there, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Jefferies pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.